So, you think you know Elvis Presley's biggest hit? Well, the story behind it is just wild. It's a story of fan protests, artistic rebellion, and a moment of incredible humility from the king himself.
Okay, so picture this. It's September 15th, 1956. Elvis Presley is at the absolute peak of his power. And his latest single, it wasn't just a hit, it was everywhere. A total cultural phenomenon, dominating the entire country.
But get this, right at that moment of triumph, something really strange is happening right outside the recording studio. His own fans, the people who loved him, were picketing. So what on earth was going on?
All right, so this brings us to part one of our story. A king under protest. It's a scene just full of contradictions that really set the stage for a pivotal moment in music history.
So what was all the fuss about? A TV appearance. Just the night before, he was on the Steve Allen show, and the producers, well, they tried to tone him down. You know, make his style a little less controversial. So they had him sing Hound Dog to an actual basset hound. And his fans, they saw this kind of campy, tamed version of Elvis, and they freaked out. They thought he'd lost his rebellious edge. Their signs were literally demanding the return of the real Elvis.
But while all that chaos was happening out on the street, inside the studio, a totally different story was playing out. This was the moment Elvis really, truly took control.
And this is really the heart of the story, this incredible paradox. Outside, you've got his fans' word he'd sold out. But inside, man, for the very first time in his career, Elvis was taking complete creative control. He was pushing everyone to get the exact sound he heard in his head.
So just how much control are we talking about? He was absolutely relentless. For the A-side, Don't Be Cruel, he dragged the band through, get this, 28 takes. He was listening for something nobody else could hear yet, a specific energy, a perfect little vocal tick. He just would not stop until it was perfect.
And he wasn't done, not even close. For the B-side, Hound Dog, he was even more demanding. He pushed for 31 different takes. Look, this wasn't just about getting it right. This was a young artist figuring out the power of his own obsession right there in the studio.
And just to be clear, this was not normal. Not at all. This level of obsession went way beyond what his producer, a guy named Steve Scholes, would ever typically allow. It really signaled a massive power shift in that studio. Suddenly, the artist was in charge, not the suits.
So did all that intense focus, all that artistic control, did it pay off? Oh, you have no idea. It paid off in a way nobody could have possibly imagined. Let's look at the absolutely record-breaking run this single had.
Okay, so the single drops in July of 1956. By September 15th, yep, the exact same day those fans were protesting, it had already hit #1. And by the end of the year, the sales figures were they were astronomical.
But it wasn't just that it topped the charts, it was how. It pulled off this super rare trifecta. It hit #1 on the pop charts, the country charts, and the R&B charts, all at the same time. I mean, this wasn't just a hit song anymore, it was a complete cultural crossover. And the sales numbers, just as staggering. By the end of '56, in just 6 months, the single sold 4 million copies. For the music industry back then, that kind of speed was almost unheard of. It was an unbelievable success.
And here's the kicker, the ultimate legacy of that one recording session. Even with all the iconic hits that came later, Don't Be Cruel would stay the biggest selling single of Elvis Presley's entire career. Period.
But the story doesn't end there, with all the charts and the sales. There's one final, really humanizing chapter that shows us a side of Elvis most people never, ever saw. His deep humility and this incredible admiration for another artist.
Which, kind of begs the question, right? After all that work, all that perfectionism to make it his own, who on earth did the king himself think performed his greatest hit even better than he did? The name was Jackie Wilson. He was this phenomenal R&B singer, and Elvis happened to catch his act in Las Vegas and was just completely floored by what he saw. And this wasn't just a one-off thing, like he saw him once and thought it was cool. No. In November of '56, Elvis went to see the group Billy Ward and his Dominoes perform 4 separate times. 4! He kept going back again and again for just one reason, to watch Jackie Wilson sing his song, Don't Be Cruel. Elvis himself said it best.
This is a direct quote about watching Wilson's performance. He said, "Man, he was cutting out. I was under the table when he got through singing." Just think about that for a second. The biggest star on the planet admitting that another artist totally bested him on his own signature song. That's incredible.
So that leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know the whole story, the protest, the intense perfectionism, and the private humility of the king, does it change how you hear that song today? Does it change how you hear his biggest hit?